Alright, what's up, y'all? Hope you're doing well. Back with another romance anime review. Today we're talking about a show called The Invisible Man and His Soon-to-Be Wife. It came out early in the 2026 year. I just finished watching it, and it was really freaking cute, man. And I'm gonna be here to talk all about it today. Again, we strive for one video per week around here. That's what we try to do. Content, a lot more coming soon. You know, I've been a lot busy with a lot of other things on my main channel, all that stuff. But we're still here trying to give you one full video per week. Shorts will be coming back soon too. I think there should be a couple of shorts coming out, probably maybe more this weekend. I'm gonna try to get 2 out. I think I'm probably do, well, one probably already came out before we watch this video, and I'm trying to do another one this weekend as well, trying to keep the shorts going because you guys really like them. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the people coming over and watching the actual content and subscribing to the channel and all that stuff. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, keep striving for one full video per week, and you keep loving it, so I'm gonna keep giving it to y'all. Now let's get fully into this review. So we have The Invisible Man and His Soon-to-Be Wife. Came out in the early 2026 year, and this is a really freaking cute show, man. I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of them. The last one I did, we watched The Villainess and The Prince of the Neighboring Kingdom. Go check out that video I did last week. That was also another very cute, sweet tooth, that type of show. And this one was even more feel like than that. Like such a cute show with great characters and just a good vibe. Just a show you could put on and just kind of vibe to. I feel like there's not too many things you really have to worry about or whatever. You just gotta put it on, just kind of smile and vibe to it with all these amazing cute characters and this crazy world that they live in. It's really fun. So I really recommend it a lot if you like those sweet, that type of romances. But yeah, it's just a really good show overall. Really just, again, comfy vibe type show. So the main couple, the main romance we're going to talk about today is we have Tonome and Yako. First, Tonome. He is the Invisible Man. He's invisible. Like, I don't know what more to say. He's invisible. Also reveals a lot more things about invisibility in this world that are very interesting that I never really thought about. It's kind of crazy. It's like he can't catch human colds. He can turn full on invisible even with his clothes on. But there are laws also that you can't turn fully invisible unless you qualify for it, because he is a detective. He's a private investigator, which obviously perfect use of his God-given ability. And yeah, it's very interesting. He really has a lot of little things throughout the show about invisibility that's like, really? Like, damn, I never really thought about those things before. But overall, he's just really, dapper guy, always in suits, always very respectful, takes his job very seriously, professional, very gentleman type of person. Very nice, obviously, as well, very kind of respectful, loving, all that type of stuff. Just a really good guy overall, And then we have Yako. Yako, she is blind. So we have Invisible Man, blind woman, power couple. She's the secretary of this detective agency and works with obviously all of them as a secretary, and very accommodating, always tries to make things work out very well. Really just a sweet person, nice person, very just kind of cool and kind of calm and kind of very like nice that you can always have a good conversation with. And yeah, her and Tonome, they work together here. They're very close, and you can kind of tell from the start both of them like each other. The one thing I like about this too is that they're actually like adults, which I say a lot. Obviously, we need more adult and work that type of romances. We see one here where they're adults, they're co-workers, they work together. It makes the show a lot, I don't know, it just gives it a different feel and vibe than a lot of other romance animes that are set in like high school, whatever. That just is really like cool, like it just gives off a different energy and a different vibe to these shows. We see right away from episode 1 just how like close they are, when they're sitting there and they're just kind of like talking about, yeah, I'm invisible, yeah, I'm blind, and all that type of stuff. And Tonome actually asked her out on a date right away. From like the first scene is basically him asking like, hey, like, let's go out to eat together, let's go on a date, let's go to a restaurant. And we kind of see their personalities right away, where Tonome is very kind of like, I guess, confident and very like, I'm just gonna go for it because why not. He's a straight up shooter. And then we have Yako being very, not really experienced with this, where she's kind of like nervous, but it's like, oh, okay, but obviously very nervous and blushy and very kind of like, oh man, I don't know I don't know how to deal with this, so let's see what we can do here. And something I really like too is that from episode 1, I feel like we establish what this relationship is kind of gonna be, because it's like while they're at the dinner, Tonome tells her like, hey, you're not the only one that's nervous. Like, he does a thing where he like grabs her hand and puts it on his heart, and she could tell it's beating fast. And he's like, I'm not the only one here nervous. Like, I know I'm just good at hiding it, because obviously he's a detective. All of his job, he has to kind of hide those things, I guess. But he says like, hey, I'm not hiding. Like, don't think you're the only one nervous, because I'm really nervous too about this. And also he says like, I don't want to hide anything from you. I don't want to take advantage of your blindness or whatever. I'm never gonna hide my emotions to you, so I'm just gonna say what I feel. It just kind of like establishing right away from the jump, like, hey, this is what I feel, this is what we should do, this is how I feel, and kind of setting all that out right away. Because obviously, I mean, they've known each other for a while before this, so we don't get like the first meet and everything like that. But it's like establishing right away, hey, this is what I feel, this is the person I am, this is how this relationship is gonna be. And I really, really like that a lot. I think it set a really nice tone for the rest of this show. And something we see a lot in the show too is Yako, especially early on in the show, the first couple episodes, trying to be confident, because again, she's never really experienced this before, so she like feels the confidence from Tonome or whatever of him being able to kind of do these things, and she's like, okay, I try to be confident. So there's a moment where she's trying to like ask him out and be confident, and always tries to kind of make the move and thinks like, okay, I'm gonna do this or whatever, but then it ends up Tonome, like, she does it, but then Tonome brings it to the next level where Yako kind of starts it's like, hey, so what if and Tonome's like, well, we go out tomorrow. Like, he kind of brings it over the top and kind of brings it home for her, and where it helps her. I mean, he helps her out a lot, here, where he's very kind of like, he understands that she's not he understands her situation. So he's a very big helping hand, and obviously literally with, her blindness or whatever, being there for her, but also with like, he understands, okay, she's trying to make a move here, so I'm just going to help her out and lead her kind of down the path a little bit, or kind of close it and finish it for her. Like, he's very aware of all these things. We also see sometimes early on, and then as the show goes on, we see a little bit more, that Tonome actually does hold back a lot of times. Like, there's a lot of times where you think, like, she wants to, like, walk home together or invite me, like, she's like, hey, you want to come in for tea? And he says like, no, or like, maybe next time or whatever, kind of try to hold back a little bit. And he does this because, one, he knows that Yako very nervous, shy, this is her first experience, and he doesn't want to just bombard her with all these different things, like, he never wants to just force her into doing all these things, and being like, hey, we could take it slow, we don't have to do all this. But also, we learn later, it's for his own mindset and his own trauma that we figure out about a little bit later as well, where he doesn't want to go all in because, as a visible person, visible people have this certain, I guess, stigma about them in this world, or I guess he thinks visible people have this certain stigma and they get treated a certain way. He doesn't want to go to, he wants to hold back for his own sake a little bit as well, which understandable. Another great thing about this show is that we don't get the full 12 episode of like, are they, will they, won't they? In episode 2, at the end of episode 2, he asks her to be his girlfriend. Like, we already get this going kind of very, very quickly. And again, Tonome is just a straight up shooter. He knows, he's like, okay, I want something, I'm gonna get it. And he feels like an older guy, like not like a 50-year-old, but he feels like an older, very mature guy that kind of knows what he wants, I guess, and is not afraid to just do things. Like, you get that vibe from him, and I really, really like that a whole lot. And yeah, by the end of episode 2, we're dating. So it's like, nice. We love that in these shows. One thing I do really like seeing about this was Yako gets a lot more bold throughout the show, very, very slowly, where at first, again, she's very nervous and shy. And even at the end, she's still very nervous or whatever. But you see over the episodes, as they go and go and go, you see a little bit more of her kind of being bold, or the confidence from him is kind of rubbing off on her, and obviously getting more comfortable with him, gets a lot more bolder and bolder, and asking a lot more things, and being a little bit more selfish, and initiating things a lot more as time goes on. And like, I like that a lot, because like, she probably doesn't have a bunch of confidence either, because of her condition and everything she's kind of been through. And again, with her never really experiencing this, she doesn't obviously know anything. And it's really cool to see her get a lot more like bold throughout the show, and ask for kisses and ask for this, and be a little bit more selfish, and not afraid to bring things up as much as before. And you see that change, where it's like, for the betterment of herself, she's getting a little bit more used to this. And she's also someone that she tries to make a lot of things happen, to everything to work smoothly, like in the company, in the agency, or whatever. Like sometimes she's like, okay, I'm move this around, move this around, move this around, and now everything's good now. Because we have like conflicting issues, or we have random, surprise things that show up, and she's always very accommodating for that and really cares for him, especially, trying to work their schedule around that he can have enough time to do everything. Like there's a bunch of times in the show where she like is the unsung hero, where it's like she's like, no, okay, I moved around this, I moved this schedule around, did this. Okay, now everything's good, now everything's in line, everything's in schedule. And it's like, nice, really good at your job, but also really caring for Tonome. And Tonome does a lot, like, dang, like, you're doing a lot for me. Like, really appreciate that. There's one specific time during this where, Tonome kind of realizes, like, Yako feels like she's always apologizing for everything. Because she doesn't have, like, experience. Because a lot of times she's just like, I don't have experience, I don't know how this happens, so I don't know. And Tonome kind of realizes, like, dang, why does she apologize for everything? Like, why does she apologize for not knowing this? Like, it's okay. Like, obviously you're not gonna have experience, so you're not gonna know certain things. Like, that's fine. And again, he's a very understanding, good person, so he never like her, like he never like, oh, you don't have experience this, so you don't know, or like anything like that. He's just kind of like, okay, cool, take it slow, take it your pace that you want to do. But Yako, on the other hand, is always like, dang, he's probably done this so many times, and he probably thinks I'm stupid for doing all these things, and so he always keeps apologizing, or she always keeps apologizing, and he's always like, why? So there's one day where it's like, he realizes this, and then they go home, and it's a little bit of like, not a rift or a conflict or anything, but it's just kind of an awkward scene, and he reassures her before she goes inside, like, hey, everything's okay, like, you're good, we're good, everything is fine. And he says, like, I want you to allow me to treasure you in that type of way. And just, I don't know, his reassurance, and his really, like, again, his confident reassurance to her, and always like catering everything and kind of being like, hey, like, everything's okay, take it your own pace, kind of, that is really nice and really special. And like, you could tell why this couple is so cute, with those moments. And from Yako's mind state, seeing all these things, she thinks, one, Tonome obviously has a lot of experience, and she feels bad, but also she kind of puts him a little bit on like a pedestal, where it's like, he's such an adult, and he's like kind of like a perfect, like that type of person or whatever. And she gets very kind of like anxious about it, because she's like, dang, now I feel like I have to be perfect, and I feel like I have to do all these certain things, because it's like, he's so like up here and so amazing, and he realizes this, and he kind of has to be like, hey, like, no, I'm not, I'm just a person, I'm just a regular dude, man. Like, we don't have to do all this. Again, his reassurance is really, really nice. But it's funny seeing Yako kind of put him on this pedestal and think like, oh my god, he's so perfect, or whatever. I don't know, it was really funny. That scene and that stretch of episodes was really, really funny to like see that. There's one very, very cute like little thing that happened that, but I really loved it a lot, was so Tonome is scared of the dark. We found he has like a traumatic past with like being left in the woods when he was a kid and no one really caring, so he's like afraid of the dark or whatever. We learned that. And there's one time, because they're doing he's investigating, and he tries to save one of these kids from like getting tied up in like a dark room or whatever, and the room gets dark, and he gets very kind of like anxious and nervous. And Yako, I don't remember if he calls Yako or Yako calls him, and while he's there, he's like, hey, can you stay on the phone and just talk to me, talk about anything, because I need to stay calm. And in this dark, he doesn't say it's like just to stay calm, but he says like, hey, like, you just stay on the phone and talk to me or whatever, because they say he's like, I gotta stay calm, and she's the only way I'm gonna be able to stay kind of calm, and it works. And it's just a really little cute thing of like, one, obviously that's so sweet, where it's like, I gotta be calm, I gotta figure out my way out of this situation, let me call her, because she's gonna be the one there for me. It's funny seeing her being there for him, because usually a lot of times we see him kind of being there for her, and him kind of guiding her, I guess, but this time finally getting the opposite of like him relying on her to do something, for him. It's just a really nice little dynamic that they have there, and just a really, really cute scene. And we figure out a little bit more about Tonome trauma a little bit later in the show, where he talks about, he doesn't really trust a lot of people because of his invisibility, because a lot of people, don't trust people that are invisible because it's like, oh my god, they can sneak, they're slimy, they can steal things, all that stuff. And there's a lot of, like, I guess not shame, but a lot of people, not everybody just messes with invisible people like that. Like, not everybody loves invisible people and see the perks of being invisible, and they have their downfalls as well too. And we experience that throughout the show, and he obviously experiences that. But he also talks about, there's a model, that inspired him, that he actually becomes friends with, and they're actually like really good friends. And there's a model that kind of inspired him to be like, dang, if he can do that, then I can do whatever I want to do, right? And that's how, him becoming a PI and, detective and all that stuff. But also just saying, like, Yako's been one of the first people that actually kind of, like, doesn't ignore him or doesn't fear him or doesn't treat him any differently because he's invisible. She's like, yeah, he's a person. So she's the first one and one of the only ones that kind of treats him kind of like just a person instead of like, I'm an invisible person. And, he talks about getting the trust that he has and all that stuff, and him kind of being a little bit like, and that's also explains why he doesn't want to go fully in a lot of times, why he sometimes holds back, because it's like, I don't want to, I don't want to risk that line of like, one day she's not going to trust me anymore or anything like that, and just naturally holding back. Because he also talks about, because during the time when they're in the hotel together, Yako kind of realizes this. She kind of comes to a realization like, dang, he holds back a lot. Like, there's a lot of times where he's holding back, especially recently. And at first she's like, dang, does he think I'm ugly or something like that? And then he hears this and he's like, wait, what? No. And he explains that with his previous girlfriend, when, they were getting into, a mood and trying to get into, spicy time or whatever, his invisibility kind of scared her. And he saw the fear on her face of like, he's invisible, but I can't see him during this intimate moment that I want with him. And that kind of messed with him mentally of like, dang, like it really hurt his confidence. It really hurt him a lot, which I understand. I never thought about that too. Like, during those moments, doing it with an invisible person is very weird because like, you never know what's going to happen next, where they are, what are they going to do next. That could definitely get very, very weird. But yeah, that really kind of like hurt his confidence or whatever. And so you kind of see little things throughout the show that be like, oh, okay, that's why he holds back. That's why he doesn't have full confidence. That's why, this and this happens, and just his trauma from the past. But luckily he has Yako there. And Yako, has been like the one that finally gets him. They feel like they get each other, and it's so adorable and so loving to see that. And eventually by the end of the show, they move in together. They decide, what, hey, let's move in together. Let's take this next, step, a very big step. Obviously, they take it and it works out pretty well. And just funny seeing from the start to the end, how much more comfortable they are with each other, how much more confident both of them are in themselves and in the other person, and just how great this relationship went. It was such a sweet, one of the sweetest couples. Love this couple so much. Love it so much. They're so great. So great together, And then obviously there's a lot of moments in between of like little cute things that happen here and there, and everything. It's just this is a beautiful couple. But it's not just them. We see a little bit more romance outside. We don't get a bunch of moments obviously because those are the two main characters, but we see a little bit. We see Kikura, who is like one of the leaders of this like agency and this detective agency. I don't know if it's his company or he put it together. I don't remember if they said that or not, but he's like, usually like the stone cold kind of like, I'm the boss. Feels like more of a boss type person, where he's very kind of like, no emotions. We focus on work. We're very professional here. We do all that stuff. And there you have another guy named Madarito. Don't know if that's how I pronounce it, but we're gonna go with it. He's a lawyer that works with the detective agency, and him and Tonome are very, they work together a lot, and they're very, very close. And we found out that those two are in a relationship, man. They're gay. We found out those two are in a relationship, and it's kind of like, oh shoot, like awesome, And we actually figure out their story, and their backstory was that they're both in high school together. They went on a school trip, and Madarato used to be, very, a chunky boy, and so he, they're walking up a mountain, and he was like falling behind. He was obviously, very, very tired and hated going up the mountain or whatever. But Kikura was the only one that was kind of back there, kind of checking on him. He was back there kind of slowing his pace up just to see, just to, make sure he gets up the mountain. He offers him water and all that stuff. Just being a really, really nice dude, while still being himself of kind of like, wanting to be alone and wanting to be kind of like he kind of wants to be the strong, tough guy. That's like, I'm my own person, whatever. But in his heart, he's just too nice. And then, on the bus home, they hold hands. And that's kind of where it happened. And it's just funny. It's funny seeing just like them together, because obviously they're very, different personalities. But they're very cute too, though. Like, and Kikuro doesn't tell anybody until later because he likes to keep his work and social life separate. But then Madarato was like, hey, wait, don't they know that we're together? And he's like, no. I was like, well, tell them. And then eventually he's like, yeah, that's my partner. We're together. It's just so, it's funny seeing those two, do it, and them, like, Kikuro always, like, yelling, I guess, at Madarato, because it's like, hey, go do your work. Like, why are you bothering us? Or everything like that. It's just, that was really, really funny. But yeah, man, we got everything. I mean, this world is crazy. I mean, like, literally one of their other coworkers is Jirashi, who is literally like a bobcat woman. There's elf people and bobcat woman and frog and crab people, and like this is a world where just anything goes in this world, really. Anything goes. And the final little piece I guess we'll talk about is we have Light and Karma. We've figured them out because Tonome and Yak go to a tea shop, and they run a little tea shop. You can make your own teas and everything like that. They're elves, Light being the white elf and Karma being a dark elf. We do see like low-key racism in this show, because the white elves give blessing powers and the dark elves are curse powers, and it's kind of like, why did that have to be that way, right? Huh? And even with Light's family, because there's like a scene where Light's family, was like stalking outside of like, their shop, and at first it feels like there's people coming like spying and trying to kill him or whatever. But we find out it's Light's family, and Light's family doesn't mess with Karma. Why? Maybe you could put two and two together. But the last few episodes, we get actually real, like, I guess kind of deep stuff about this relationship, where one day Light just leaves and goes back home because she says that like her father is, in the hospital and everything like that, and leaves Karma alone. But then we find out that Light is actually pregnant with their baby. And she left and didn't tell him because he doesn't want, because again, Karma is a dark elf and they have all these curses and stuff. And for one, the light elves or the white elves take birth very seriously. They give blessings and they have these all rituals and all that stuff. And Karma, with his curses, she knows that Karma is going to be very self-conscious and very like blame himself, because if his curses magically affect her and the baby, he's not going to be able to live with himself. And we go back into their marriage. At first, it kind of was very like Karma was super kind of hesitant a little bit, because he's like, I'm a dark elf and I have these curses and I don't want to hurt you or anybody around you, and I could be a big problem, and the light and dark elves don't mix together very, very well because of our conflictions and all that stuff. And Light is always the one that's being like, hey, like, who cares though? Like, I love you, you love me, we want to be together. That's all. That's it. Like, and when they got married, before they got married, they made an honor or a pact to the other one, like, hey, we're never gonna leave each other alone. We're always gonna be there for the other, and all that type of stuff, And so Light leaves, but eventually Light's kind of like, you know what? I should tell him, and I should, want to be around him, or whatever. So eventually Light, comes back, and Karma's still very kind of like hesitant on pins and needles, kind of like being, hey, I don't know, I don't want to be too close to you because my curses, and especially because I'm really emotional right now, my curses could fire off, but then Light ends up having, like contractions, right? So she has to go back and go to the hospital, and Karma doesn't show up, and Karma doesn't go with her because he's very kind of like still on the edge a little bit, but then eventually Light calls him and convinces him, like, hey, come with me, I'm having these kids, I'm having twins, come here. Like we have to be together because I want you here. You're gonna be the father of my kids. I love you. Like F all the curses and all that stuff. You're not gonna hurt me, especially because I'm around all my family. Like they're not gonna let that happen. And she kind of convinces him to come. And at the end, we see him have the babies, and he says like, "Dang, I'm so happy that I came," and everything like that. And it just they're very, very cute because they're obviously very opposite. Karma's very kind of like out there and very kind of emotional, all that, and Light is kind of like the rock and kind of like the like the wife that's kind of like keeps him in check and everything. And it was just very like kind of deep stuff, I guess, a little bit to see at the end like their relationship and that kind of I guess doubt and fear because they're such opposites, but at the end it ended up working out together really well. Overall, really good show. Comfy vibes, a lot of great characters, great relationships, not really too much like drama or too much unnecessary bad or dramatic things that happen. Just very like a show you just sit back and just be comfy with and just be cool with and just smile a lot and laugh and love these certain relationships and characters. So overall, love this show a lot. Give it 2 solid thumbs up. Really good. That's all I got today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I'm trying to keep the 1 video per week thing going. Shorts have been coming out very, very soon. Gonna try to keep the content going for y'all. If you like this video, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Leave a comment down below as well about either the show or about anything. I guess it just sets out the algorithm. So leaving a like and commenting would be really, really cool. And if you do like the content, hit subscribe. Subscribe to the channel if you like romance anime, want to keep up with romance anime, like hear me talk about romance anime, or just want to straight up just support the channel. I really appreciate it if you do subscribe. Also, go check out my main channel, Everyday Hoops, linked in the description below. We talk about basketball over there, literally the exact opposite of what we do over here. But if you like basketball, know someone likes basketball, let them know about the channel down below. We've been going crazy over there recently. I've been putting in a bunch of work over there, so check that out too. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.